The text message from Grace felt like a punch to the gut. As I read it for the fifth time, disbelief turned to anger, simmering just beneath the surface. Hey, just wanted to let you know the guest list is finalized and we had to make some tough cuts. Hope you understand. Love you. Tough cuts? I wasn't a distant relative or a casual acquaintance, I was her sister. The same sister who had been her rock through every breakup and every crisis. The phone sat heavy in my hand, taunting me with its silence. I needed answers. I dialed my mother, my heart pounding with each ring. She picked up on the second ring, her voice as chipper as ever. Hey, sweetheart, what's up? I wasted no time getting to the point. Mom, I just got a message from Grace. She says I'm not on the guest list for her wedding. How is that possible? There was a pause, the kind that stretches out just long enough to confirm your worst suspicions. Oh, honey, she sighed, using that patronizing tone that always made me feel like I was overreacting. It's just a wedding. Don't make a big deal out of this. Just a wedding? I repeated, a hot coil of anger tightening in my stomach. Mom, I'm her sister. How am I not invited to my own sister's wedding? She made a dismissive noise, like she was swatting away a pesky fly. It's not personal. They had to keep the guest list small. I cut her off, my voice rising despite my attempt to stay calm. Mom, I just saw Grace's Instagram post. She invited 150 people. Silence, then a forced chuckle. Well, you know how things are. Weddings are expensive, and maybe they assumed you wouldn't mind skipping this one. Wouldn't mind? I echoed, my voice incredulous. I've been there for Grace through everything. I helped her move, covered her rent when she was struggling, and now I'm not good enough to be there on her special day? Stop being dramatic, my mother said with a sigh. It's just one day. You're overreacting. A bitter laugh escaped my lips, devoid of any humor. Overreacting. Right. I could already see how this would play out. I'd argue. My mother would dismiss me. Grace would offer a half-hearted apology later, and I'd be expected to forgive and forget. Not this time. The realization hit me with clarity. If I wasn't worthy of inclusion, then I wouldn't be. I hung up without another word and stared at my phone, a new resolve forming in my mind. If I wasn't going to be at Grace's wedding, I was going to be somewhere much better. I opened my laptop and began searching for flights. The more I thought about it, the angrier I became. I wasn't going to sit around feeling sorry for myself while my family played happy celebration without me. If they didn't think I was important enough to include, then I wouldn't be around when they needed me. Within an hour, I had booked an all-inclusive stay at a 5-star resort in the Caribbean. A suite with an ocean view, spa services, and a private beach. Everything I'd ever told myself was too extravagant. Not this time. This wasn't just a vacation, it was a declaration. As the wedding weekend approached, I found myself on a plane, sipping champagne in first class. I snapped a picture, legs outstretched, drink in hand, and posted it with a caption, "Guess I got cut from the guest list, but I think I'll survive." The reactions were immediate, ranging from laughing emojis to messages of support. My mother texted, "Where are you? Are you seriously missing your sister's wedding over this?" I sent her a photo of the beach, the caption reading, "Enjoying my overreaction." Then I turned off my phone, determined not to let them guilt me this time. For once, I was putting myself first, and it felt incredible. As the reality of my decision settled in, I felt a strange mix of liberation and defiance. For years, I had been the reliable one, the sister who could always be counted on to smooth things over, to sacrifice for the sake of family harmony. But as I booked my flight to the Caribbean, I realized I was finally prioritizing myself, and the feeling was exhilarating. The days leading up to my departure were a blur of preparation and anticipation. I packed my suitcase with a sense of purpose, carefully choosing outfits that would match the luxurious setting of the resort. Every item I folded into my bag felt like a small victory, a tangible representation of my newfound resolve. My phone buzzed intermittently with messages from my family. Grace's wedding plans were in full swing, and my absence had apparently become a topic of conversation. My mother left voicemails, her voice a mix of disbelief and irritation. "Lily, you're being unreasonable. This is your sister's big day. You can't just disappear." I didn't bother responding. Instead, I focused on the trip, imagining the warm sun and the sound of the ocean waves. It was a welcome distraction from the noise of familial expectations that had always weighed me down. On the day of my flight, I arrived at the airport feeling lighter than I had in years. As I settled into my first-class seat, the reality of my decision began to sink in. I was choosing me. For once, I was stepping out of the shadow of my family's demands and into the light of my own desires. The flight attendants offered champagne, and I accepted with a smile, raising my glass to the new chapter I was about to begin. I snapped a quick photo, capturing the moment of triumph, and posted it online with a cheeky caption, "Flying solo to paradise. Cheers to new beginnings." The response was immediate. Friends and acquaintances sent messages of encouragement, applauding my decision to prioritize my happiness. Even some family members, like my cousin Sarah, chimed in with support. "Good for you, Lily. Enjoy every minute." As the plane took off, I gazed out the window at the shrinking skyline, feeling a sense of release. The miles between me and my family's chaos expanded, and with them, my sense of freedom. When I landed in the Caribbean, the warm breeze and the scent of the ocean welcomed me like an old friend. A private car whisked me away to the resort, where I was greeted with a refreshing cocktail and a lei of fragrant flowers. The resort itself was breathtaking, with its sprawling grounds and stunning ocean views. My suite was a dream floor-to-ceiling windows, a private balcony, and a bed that looked like a cloud. As I unpacked, I marveled at the luxury surrounding me, a stark contrast to the tension I had left behind. That evening, I stood on the balcony, watching the sun dip below the horizon, painting the sky in vibrant shades of orange and pink. I felt a sense of peace settle over me, a quiet assurance that I had made the right choice. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't worried about what my family thought. I wasn't caught up in their drama or their expectations. I was simply Lily, embracing the moment, and it felt incredible. As the stars emerged, I raised my glass once more, toasting to the freedom I had found in choosing myself. Waking up to the soft rustle of palm leaves and the gentle murmur of ocean waves felt like a dream. My first morning at the resort was everything I'd hoped for and more. I ordered room service fluffy pancakes, fresh fruit, and coffee that smelled divine and enjoyed breakfast on the balcony, letting the sun warm my skin. This was the self-indulgence I had long denied myself, and it felt like a revelation. As I settled into my lounge chair by the pool later that morning, I reflected on the whirlwind of events that led me here. My phone buzzed with notifications, remnants of the life I'd temporarily left behind. Ignoring the texts from my family, I instead focused on the messages from friends and acquaintances, cheering me on. A message from my cousin Sarah caught my eye. "Lily, you're living the dream. So proud of you for doing this. How's paradise treating you?" I smiled, typing back, "It's amazing, Sarah. Exactly what I needed. You should join me next time." As I sent the message, a shadow fell over my sunbed. I glanced up to find a friendly-looking waiter offering another cocktail. "Compliments of the house," he said with a wink, placing the icy drink on the table beside me. "Thank you," I replied, basking in the unexpected attention. This was a world away from the chaos of wedding preparations and familial obligations. Here, I was free to simply be. By midday, I was lounging by the infinity pool, a book in hand, and the Caribbean sun casting a golden glow over everything. The temptation to check my phone was strong, but I resisted, determined to let go of the outside world, if only for a few days. Eventually, curiosity got the better of me. As I unlocked my phone, I was greeted with a barrage of messages. Most were from my mother and Grace, but a few were from numbers I didn't recognize. I skimmed through them, my interest piqued by a message from Sarah. Hey, just a heads up, things aren't going well back home. Grace is freaking out. Apparently, the groom's been having second thoughts. It's a mess. A mix of emotions washed over my vindication, concern, and an undeniable sense of schadenfreude. My absence had clearly been felt, and now the perfect day they'd planned was unraveling. Another message from Sarah followed quickly. Lily, they're trying to reach you. I think they finally realize how much they've taken you for granted. I contemplated responding, but the sight of the endless blue horizon stilled my hand. Instead, I took a sip of my cocktail, savoring the moment. My family's drama was no longer my burden to bear. I had given them enough of my time and energy. Now it was my time. As the afternoon sun began to wane, casting long shadows across the pool, I felt a sense of peace settle over me. The decision to come here, to prioritize myself, had been the right one. I was more than just a supporting player in their lives. I was the star of my own. With renewed determination, I set my phone aside, letting the notifications fade into the background. I had come here to escape, to heal, and to rediscover myself. And that's exactly what I intended to do. The afternoon sun hung low in the sky, casting a warm, golden glow over the resort. I was savoring a moment of tranquility by the pool when a sharp, familiar twinge in my chest made me pause. I brushed it off at first, attributing it to the tropical drink I'd just indulged in, but as the sensation persisted, a flicker of concern crept in. I sat up, taking a few deep breaths, hoping the discomfort would pass. Instead, it intensified, spreading across my chest with an unsettling insistence. The edges of my vision blurred slightly, and a wave of dizziness made the world tilt. "Are you all right, miss?" The concerned voice of a nearby guest broke through the haze. I nodded, though my insides were a knot of worry. "I'm fine," I said, trying to sound more confident than I felt. But the truth was, I wasn't sure. This was unlike anything I'd experienced before, and the realization sent a ripple of fear through me. I reached for my phone, my hands slightly shaky as I dialed the resort's medical center. The nurse on the other end was calm and professional, her voice a lifeline as she assured me they'd send someone over immediately. Within minutes, a kind-looking paramedic arrived, his presence reassuring as he knelt beside me. "Let's just check a few things, all right?" he said, his tone gentle. I nodded, grateful for his calm demeanor as he took my pulse and blood pressure. As he worked, I tried to focus on the rhythm of my breathing, willing myself to remain calm. But the uncertainty of what was happening gnawed at my composure. "Your vitals are a bit elevated," the paramedic said after a moment, his brow furrowed slightly. "I'd like to take you to the medical center, just to be safe." I agreed, the gravity of the situation sinking in as he helped me to my feet. The walk to the golf cart that would take us to the center felt surreal, the world around me both too bright and oddly muted. Once there, a doctor examined me thoroughly, her expression thoughtful as she reviewed the results of the tests they'd run. "It looks like a panic attack," she explained gently, her eyes meeting mine with empathy. "Have you been under a lot of stress recently?" The question hung in the air, and I almost laughed at the irony. "You could say that," I replied, my voice tinged with a mix of relief and frustration. She nodded, offering a reassuring smile. It's not uncommon for stress to manifest physically, especially when you're finally taking time to relax. Your body is decompressing. I took a deep breath, the truth of her words resonating within me. This vacation, this escape, was supposed to be a reprieve from the chaos. Yet in stepping back, I had unwittingly unleashed a torrent of emotions I'd been suppressing. "Thank you," I said, grateful for her understanding and the clarity it brought. As I left the medical center, the weight of the experience lingered, but so did a newfound resolve. Back at my suite, I stood on the balcony, gazing out at the ocean. The waves rolled in with a soothing rhythm, a reminder of the peace I was seeking. In that moment, I understood that this trip was about more than just escaping, it was about healing. I took a deep breath, letting the sea air fill my lungs, and vowed to embrace this journey fully. My family's drama, the expectations, the stress, I would leave it all behind. This was my time to find balance, to prioritize my well-being, and to rediscover what truly mattered. With the sun setting on the horizon, I felt a sense of calm wash over me. The scare had been a reminder, a nudge from the universe to slow down and take care of myself. And that's exactly what I intended to do. The sun had dipped below the horizon, leaving a dusky glow in its wake as I returned to my suite. Feeling both grateful and exhausted, the health scare had been a jarring reminder of the stress I'd been under. And as I settled into the plush armchair by the window, I resolved to let go of the burdens I'd carried for too long. My phone buzzed with a series of messages, and despite my earlier resolve to disconnect, curiosity got the better of me. As I scrolled through the notifications, the urgency of my family's texts was impossible to ignore. First was a message from my cousin Sarah. "Lily, you won't believe what happened. Call me when you can." Then there was a text from my mother. "Lily, please, we need you. Things are falling apart here." And finally, a voice message from Grace. I hesitated, my finger hovering over the play button, before pressing it. "Lily." Grace's voice wavered, a mix of desperation and regret. "If you get this, please call me. Everything's a disaster. The wedding, I need you." I leaned back, closing my eyes as I absorbed her words. The wedding, the day that had been deemed too important for my presence, was unraveling. Part of me felt vindicated, but another part that cared deeply for my sister despite everything felt a twinge of concern. Resisting the urge to call back immediately, I decided to reach out to Sarah first. She picked up on the second ring, her voice breathless with urgency. "Lily, thank God you called. It's chaos here." "What happened?" I asked, attempting to keep my tone neutral. The groom walked out during the reception. Sarah explained, disbelief in her voice. "Grace and he had a massive argument, and he just left." I blinked, processing the revelation. "He left?" "Yeah," Sarah confirmed. "And now everyone's blaming everyone else. It's a complete mess." Despite myself, I felt a pang of empathy for Grace. Regardless of our differences, no one deserved to have their wedding day implode like that. "Is she okay?" I asked, my voice softening. "She's a wreck," Sarah admitted. "But honestly, Lily, a lot of people think this wouldn't have happened if you were here. You've always been the one to keep things together." I sighed, the weight of those words settling over me. "I can't fix this, Sarah. Not this time." "I know," she said, her voice understanding. "But I thought you should know what's happening." "Thanks for telling me," I replied, appreciating her honesty. After we hung up, I sat in silence, the quiet of the suite enveloping me. The chaos back home was palpable, even from the miles of ocean and sky that separated us. But this time, I wouldn't be the one to shoulder the burden. I stepped out onto the balcony, the cool night air a balm to my frayed nerves. The waves whispered a soothing melody, and I let them wash over me, grounding me in the present. In choosing this distance, I had chosen myself. The health scare had underscored the necessity of this decision, and as the stars began to twinkle above, I felt resolute in my choice. I picked up my phone one last time, typing a brief message to Grace. "I'm sorry things didn't go as planned. I hope you find peace in the days to come." With that, I turned off my phone, tucking it away in a drawer. The distractions of the outside world would wait. Tonight, I would focus on healing, on breathing, on being. And in the morning, I would wake to the sound of the ocean, a reminder of the freedom I had claimed for myself. The next morning, I woke to the gentle sound of waves lapping against the shore. The aroma of salt and tropical blooms wafting through the open balcony doors. For a moment, I lay there, allowing myself to savor the peace and solitude that surrounded me. This vacation had been a much-needed escape, a chance to prioritize my well-being over the endless demands of family drama. But the tranquility was short-lived as my thoughts drifted back to the chaos of Grace's wedding. Despite my resolve to distance myself, a part of me was curious about what had transpired since I last spoke with Sarah. My phone, tucked away in the nightstand, beckoned with its promise of updates and unanswered questions. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for the messages that awaited. Turning it on, I was greeted by a flurry of notifications, mostly from family members I had temporarily blocked. Yet one message stood out, a text from Sarah. "Lily, I know you're taking time for yourself, but you need to hear this. Call me when you're ready." The urgency in her words tugged at my curiosity. With a sense of cautious anticipation, I dialed her number, preparing myself for whatever revelations lay ahead. "Lily," Sarah answered almost immediately, relief evident in her voice. "I'm so glad you called. Things have been insane here." "I can imagine," I replied, settling into the armchair by the window. "What's going on now?" "After the groom left, everything went downhill," she began, her tone a mix of incredulity and exasperation. "Your mom and Aunt Lisa got into a huge argument about whose fault it was. And Grandma even said the wedding was doomed because they didn't invite you." I couldn't help but chuckle at that. "Grandma really said that?" "Yes." Sarah laughed, the sound infectious. "And then there was this big family blow-up. It was like a soap opera." The image made me smile, despite the chaos. It was almost poetic. My absence had somehow become the focal point of the drama they had tried to exclude me from. "So, what now?" I asked, curious about the aftermath. "Grace is trying to figure things out," Sarah said, her voice softening. "But honestly, Lily, a lot of people are realizing how much you've held everyone together." The admission was bittersweet, a validation of the role I had often played, but also a reminder of why I had chosen to step away. "I hope she's okay," I said, genuine concern threading through my words. "She'll figure it out," Sarah replied. "But I think this has made everyone take a hard look at how they've treated you." I mulled over her words, the truth of them settling over me like a gentle wave. This trip, this distance, had been about more than just escaping. It had been about reclaiming my own narrative, setting boundaries, and redefining my relationships. "Thanks for keeping me in the loop, Sarah," I said, grateful for her honesty and support. "Anytime," she replied warmly. "Enjoy your vacation. You deserve it." As we hung up, I felt a renewed sense of peace and clarity. The family drama, while still present, no longer felt like a weight on my shoulders. I had chosen to prioritize myself, and in doing so had found a freedom I hadn't realized I was missing. With a contented sigh, I stepped out onto the balcony, the ocean stretching out before me, endless and inviting. The sun was warm on my skin, the breeze a gentle caress, and in that moment, I knew I had made the right choice. I was exactly where I needed to be, embracing the tranquility of the present and the promise of a future shaped by my own terms. Lily's journey of choosing self-care over familial obligations serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of setting boundaries and prioritizing personal well-being. In today's fast-paced and demanding world, it's crucial to recognize when to step back and focus on oneself. Her experience highlights the need to set boundaries, learning to say no when demands become overwhelming, which helps maintain mental and emotional health. Additionally, prioritizing self-care is essential. Taking time for activities that rejuvenate you, whether it's a solo vacation, a hobby, or simply a moment of quiet reflection, can significantly enhance your quality of life. Finally, communicating openly about your needs can foster understanding and respect in relationships, transforming dynamics for the better. By embracing these principles, you can navigate life's challenges with a balanced approach, ensuring that your own well-being is never sidelined by external pressures.